necklace on your wrist, a plain Jane.
The following video is broadcasting live, and thank you for being my studio audience. Thank you for hitting thumbs up and subscribing to my channel for more Black news, celebrity entertainment, and a splash of controversy. What up and welcome back. It's your girl Jane, the plainest Jane, and we've got some updates to get into. We all know the tragedy that took place in Texas. Come on in, hit thumbs up on your way in. This is a video that, of course, it saddens me, and I think it's really saddened the entire country, to be honest with you. But it's something that definitely needs to be talking about because the math ain't mathing. There's so much that is not adding up here, and we need to just go ahead and get into it, okay? I find it to be really astonishing how politicians and lawmakers are busy trying to lock down our uteruses instead of trying to lock down a solution for protecting our children of tomorrow. Make that make sense. Make that make sense. Acting like you care so much about the fetuses, but what about the elementary school kids who continue to be slaughtered decade after decade, 20 at a time? It makes no sense to me, but I want to get into these details. We've got a lot of updates. We've got more information about Salvador Ramos. His family has opened up. Classmates have opened up. Ex-friends have opened up. I'm going to get into some more of his social media postings and what he was saying on social media. Remember, we did a deep dive on my second reporting. So this is actually part 3 of my reporting on this situation. And we're also going to get into the blame. Yeah, the blame and the lies of law enforcement because they told quite a few lies. And I think that they're scared that they're going to be dealing with some serious lawsuits. And do they really have the funds to pay for it? Not to mention how incompetent law enforcement was as they sat there with some of the highest salaries that we know of and watched kids die out of complete and absolute cowardice. So, like I said, come on in, have a seat on the bus. This is more of a serious, somber update, but this is information that definitely deserves to be out there. Please feel free to share this video on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, text message, whatever the case is. And like I said, donating to the show is free. Donate that thumbs up. It don't cost any money. But also, if you want to send a cash app, a super chat, and a super thanks, just know that all of it is appreciated the same, just like I appreciate your thumbs up, okay? Now, let's get right into it. Let's get into this intro, and I'm diving straight into it because I got a lot of information and even some video footage so that you can see these parents outside of the school ready to charge in and get their kids because the police were giving them so much resistance, but they weren't helping to combat the active shooter in this elementary school. So let's get started.
The plainest Jane. This is one of my favorite comments here. She says, I loves me some black, and she said, loves me some black news. She says, is it just me, or does anyone else get tired of seeing people that don't look like them delivering info about them day in and day out?
Shout out to everybody in the live chat, and listen, mind your mental peace. If you already feel too heavy, if you've already been crying about this, if this has been weighing heavy on you, listen, I will not take it personal, but click off and take care of yourself. This is the reason why I didn't do a live yesterday evening about this, because I was just at my emotional bandwidth. So listen, take care of your mental health and click away if you need to. But if this is information that you're interested in, like I am, let's go ahead and get started. Before I get into breaking down this topic of our event, make sure you subscribe, okay? And thumbs up or down, either way, I appreciate it. But think critically and independently, regardless of what you hear from me or anybody else. I want to start really quickly before we get into what the family had to say. I've got some testimony from his grandfather. I see there are people in the chat asking about the grandmother. Yes, she is still alive. She's just in critical condition. But we're going to get into all those details in a second. Here's something that really disheartened me earlier. Really disheartened me. Absolutely, Sandria. Is that Sarita? We're going to get into that in a second. Yep. That is a piece of the information. This made me extremely sad. The family of an 11-year-old girl who survived the shooting says the 4th grader put blood on herself and played dead after the gunman entered the classroom. Imagine a 4th grader having to play dead in order to survive. Kids should not have to tap into survival mode in this way. while it is a brilliant idea that it saved her life, this is still very tragic and traumatizing. See, the thing is, the word trauma, and don't get me wrong, listen, I'm hypersensitive to trauma and mental health and being triggered and all that stuff. But we've got to admit that these are words that are overused a lot in today's day and age. It's just this buzzword that people use. This is one of those instances where, can you only imagine the trauma that this girl is going through? That this girl is going through, is going to have to go through. How much extensive therapy is this going to take? Because she was, smart enough, but she shouldn't have had to have been smart enough to have to smear blood of another classmate on her and play dead. That really almost broke my heart today. But let's get right into the testimony of the family, okay? Now, the family shed some light on Salvador Ramos, okay? His granddad is 74 years old. Now, mind you, he lived with his grandparents, all right? And so Grandpa says he learned of his grandson's involvement in this execution of a crime when a neighbor called him and told him that the person of interest had shot their grandmother and fled the scene in a vehicle. So that is how he first learned about it. He had no clue, right? They say that Salvador Ramos had issues with his mom, which is why he lived with his grandparents. And so what that tells me is that his mom put him out. Although his mom is all over the news today saying all types of positive things about him and make him out to be something that he really just wasn't. He clearly was a sick fucking freak to kill nearly 20 kids. All right. So Grandpa says he had no clue that Salvador had 2 AR style rifles at home. He had no clue. Had he known, he would have reported them, because Grandpa actually has a prior felony conviction and he himself isn't allowed to be around firearms. So he had no clue that those guns were even under his roof and in his home. I read earlier today from a credible source that Salvador Ramos had gotten a job at Wendy's to save up enough money to buy those rifles. Mind you, he bought these rifles 2 days before the shooting. His birthday was last Monday, not this Monday, last Monday. So he had just turned 18, and days later, not even a week later, he went and purchased these rifles. And then 2 days after that, he went and committed this child slaughter session. Sick, sadistic even. So the grandfather wants to know who even took him to purchase the guns, because he didn't. Now, mind you, Texas is one of those places where they recently just passed something where you don't even need a gun permit in order to attain a firearm. Now, what sparked off the whole angry rage that he went on was there was a dispute between him and his grandma, right? His grandma is 66 years old, over a phone. That, like I said, she's still alive. He went ahead and shot her in the head. She's in critical condition. And grandma was trying to get him his own phone in his own name. He was giving her some resistance. And like I said, we're going to go over some of the last things he said on social media as well, because it's corroborated in the messages that he was, sending to someone else, someone different than I exposed in part 2 the day before yesterday. So she was trying to get him a phone in his own name. He gets upset. He shoots her. She's in critical condition. He then steals her truck, crashes it into a ditch. He has no driver's license. Grandpa says he doesn't have a driver's license. He doesn't know how to drive. That would explain why he crashed into a ditch. And again, it's been confirmed that he purchased the firearms 2 days before the shooting. I really can't wait to get to the part, y'all, of how and why the police are hiding. The details haven't stayed the same. At this point, their story changing more than Megan Thee Stallion. I mean, the story, just blatant lies that the police department is telling. And it makes me sick. This is why they've been so slow to release certain information to the public. The first thing that I have an issue with is they released information and told a lot of credible news organizations. They reported that they actually had pinned the suspect to the ground and had him in custody. Come to find out, that was never true. He was never in custody. He was shot dead in the school. There are going to be a lot more things that won't add up, but that's just one of many. Let's get into some of the classmates' testimony. The classmates of Salvador Ramos, and thank you so much, Sarita Pickering for joining the membership. I appreciate you. He was known for fighting and making threats, according to his high school classmates. Okay, this happened at one of the elementary schools. He went to the high school. He didn't do that well in school. He didn't graduate, although he was 18 years old, according to his grandpa. And he was known for fighting and making threats. He even told an ex-friend that he was going to kill him. They said he would also cut up his face for fun. I was actually watching a video interview. I've done a lot of reading, a lot of just research today. And one of the girls was saying he came to school with lots of scars on his face. And when they would ask, like, what happened to your face? Like, what's up with these cuts on your face? They said he smiled and replied, I did it myself. I just like how it looks. So yeah, he was pretty sick, right? Not giving him an excuse to say, oh, he was mentally ill and excuse him. No, you have to be a sick freak to want to kill kids, period, right? And not that it would be any better, but why didn't he go to the high school? He specifically went to an elementary school. It's just weird. And I'm tired of hearing about this bullying mess. Oh, he was bullied. I don't care. So you go and bully elementary school students with your rifles? It doesn't make sense. So he liked to cut up his face for fun. He used to drive around with another friend of his and shoot at random people with a BB gun. And again, he claimed he was bullied in middle school because he had speech impediments such as a stutter and a lisp. Let's talk about the name he wanted to make for himself, because there was a name that he was trying to make for himself. I don't know if any of you all are familiar with there's a special on Netflix. It's like a 3-part docuseries. Actually, I hate to say it's really good, but when it was so good that it sucked me in so fast. It's called Don't Fuck with Cats. And honestly, it's not even about cats. But me, I watch a lot of Lifetime and like murder mystery stuff. So it's good in that sense because I just have this curiosity sci-fi mind, right? So let's not get sidetracked, but Don't Fuck with Cats is something that I've seen and it sucked me in. And I did get emotional a couple times. So he was telling someone that he wanted his name out there. And he wanted his name out there in a way that the main character, Luca Magnotta, in Don't Fuck with Cats, go watch it. If you still haven't canceled Netflix yet, go watch it. He wanted to make a name for himself like that. And Luca Magnotta was another nut job. I mean, he was a nut job. I'm telling you. So he wanted this type of fame and notoriety. And sometimes these people do. That's just how these sick fucking freaks are. And he had even engaged in animal torture before. So he watched Don't Fuck with Cats. Again, Don't Fuck with Cats is called Don't Fuck with Cats, but essentially it's kind of almost like not even about cats. But there is a sick person who started out with animals and eventually moved on to people there. And so there was some they were able to reveal that Salvador Ramos actually got into some animal torture as well. So let's how do I want to start this, right? Because I'm trying not to just call the police department and everybody just like a whole bunch of names, but y'all get paid 6-figure plus salaries and y'all sat there with guns and watched these children get killed because y'all were too punk to go in there. Make that make sense for me. So Mr. Gomez, I'm reading an excerpt from an article, right? It says, Mr. Gomez, a farm supervisor, said that he was one of numerous parents who began encouraging, first politely, and then with more urgency, he was encouraging police and other law enforcement to enter the school. After a few minutes, she said, federal marshals approached her and put her in handcuffs, telling her that she was being arrested for intervening in an active shooter investigation. So she's busy trying to get the cops to do their job because they out there tussling with the parents instead of going in there and tussling with him. And they put her in handcuffs because she's trying to prompt them to do something. I'm going to show you some video footage in a minute to back this up. Ms. Gomez convinced local police officers whom she knew to persuade the marshals to set her free. Around her, the scene was frantic. She said she saw a father tackled and thrown to the ground by police, and a third was pepper sprayed. Once freed from her handcuffs, Miss Gomez made her distance from the crowd, jumped the school fence, and ran inside to grab her two children. She sprinted out of the school with them. So they were trying to get her to stop her from going in there and rescuing her babies. They put her in handcuffs, and as soon as she got off them handcuffs, she went in there and did what needs to be done. She was more brave than the cops. Mm, mm. We've also got reports of the police going in to get their kids out first. The first reported police officers to arrive, the shooting was reported to have happened at 11:30 a.m. Cops were on the scene at 11:34. However, it took them upwards of 90 minutes to neutralize this threat. And would you know that these cops showed up and selfishly went in and rescued their kids, and that's it? Some of them. Pathetic. Again, gunmen's approaching the school, 11:30 a.m. Police arrive. Shots are fired from the gunman. So the police get scared at the shots fired. They take cover. They scared. They're like, oh, snap, somebody's shooting. But what are you trained for? Y'all are on the doorstep with firearms, with the ability to protect these kids, getting paid 6 figures a year. 40% of Uvalde's budget is police. 40%. That's almost half of the budget. And y'all sat there and watched 20 kids die. Then you had a cop outside the door saying to because again, all 19 of the kids that were killed, they were in one singular classroom. One class, killed the whole class of kids, locked himself in the classroom. The cops looking in the window saying, scream if you need help. One of the kids starts screaming, gunman automatically shoots that kid. So you in there giving them haphazard ass lopsided directions, literally getting more children killed because y'all don't know what the fuck y'all are doing. Okay. How is it that this shooting started between 11:30 and 11:32 and he wasn't shot and killed until 1 p.m.? An hour and a half later. Then it's reported that there are 18 minutes of police radio footage completely missing because they're trying to piece together why the fuck they didn't do more. And this is the reason why we're getting scattered and misinformation. Tell me why it comes out today that Texas cops revealed that there was no armed guard on campus when a gunman, about an armed guard being on the campus. So y'all lied. This is the thing. The initial story was he pulled up to the school. He hopped the fence. We had an armed guard on the property who approached him, but didn't tackle him or stop him from going into the building, and they followed him. So y'all came up with this elaborate story that y'all had an armed guard that followed him in. Come to find out, y'all lied about the presence of an armed guard at all. It's not making sense. And then y'all had to wait for SWAT or border control to show up and do something. This is not making sense. Why did it take y'all an hour to breach this elementary school? Y'all had to wait for and endanger another civilian. You all had to wait for a teacher to give you a key to unlock the door. Matter of fact, the teacher didn't even give you the key. The teacher came and unlocked the door for you. So you endangered another innocent civilian in order to do your job because you don't know how to break down the door. Let's continue to get into a couple of more details, right? Because I mean, going in to get your kids first is way more than enough. Way more than enough. Let's get into some more. This stuff is definitely enough to piss you off for sure. Let's listen to this. A Texas lieutenant telling a local police station that some of the officers breached the school to get their own children before the shooter was taken down. So this is beyond just hearsay. This is actually a Texas lieutenant telling us this. Let's get into it.
With his grandmother, in which he shot his grandmother. Vanessa. So first, I want to acknowledge the brave men and women of law enforcement that showed up to the scene, that actually were involved in the scene, that actually made entry into this school and saved more lives. That, of course, we lost 18. But I want to praise those brave men and women of law enforcement. Also, offer our condolences on behalf of Texas Department of Public Safety to the families, to the victims, to the entire Uvalde community. So what we do know right now that the suspect was involved in a family disturbance earlier on the day with his grandmother, in which he shot his grandmother. From that point on, what we do know is that local law enforcement received a call of a crash and a man with a gun nearby where the school's at. At that point, local law enforcement responded to the school. The suspect made entry into the school, and as soon as he made entry into the school, he started shooting children, teachers, whoever was in his way. He was shooting everybody. We had, of course, as I mentioned, brave law enforcement made entry into that school, exchanged gunfire with a suspect who was wearing body armor. Several police officers were shot. At that point, we did have a tactical law enforcement team arrive on scene. They met entry. They were also met with gunfire by the suspect, but they were actually able to shoot the suspect, and now the suspect is deceased. As of right now, we do have 18 children confirmed that are deceased, as well as 2 adults, one of those being a teacher from the school.
And we've also heard word that Border Patrol agent was struck with gunfire, a few officers shot. We've heard that some law enforcement officers actually went into school to get their kids out. Can you talk about that?
Right. So we do know, Vanessa, right now that there was some police officers, families trying to get their children out of the school because it was a active shooter situation right now. It's a terrible situation right now, and of course, just as we mentioned, the loss of life. It's just terrible. It's a terrible tragedy right now that took place. But again, we got to keep acknowledging those brave men and women that actually were there on scene, that met this suspect, and of course, we know that they were met with gunfire. Some of them were shot. But at the end of this, the suspect was shot and is now deceased. The threat is now neutralized.
And we're hearing his home was less than a mile away from here. Did you find any other guns, any other ammunition? We've heard maybe about.
So that's that piece of information. Okay. That's that piece of information. Let's continue. There were lots of parents, right? If it's not bad enough that y'all lied about having them in custody because y'all was standing there doing nothing, and the bodies of these elementary school kids were piling up. So you began telling lies because y'all was standing there for 90 minutes, lying about pinning him down, lying about having him in custody. I'm watching ABC and another a couple of other publications. Y'all actually dispersed information and told him, "Oh, we neutralized it. We pinned him down. He was never in custody. He was killed." So between that, you lying about having the armed guard there's a lot that y'all are hiding. And I hope that all 19 of these families, I hope they sue y'all for everything that y'all got. That's what I hope. You had parents having to get buck with the cops to try to get them to go in because the cops didn't want to do anything. That's the really sad part. I mean, parents saying that parents and other onlookers are saying that police are misrepresenting this incident and that they were not rushing in. It's the brave officers. Listen, save it. We don't want to hear that because most of them were standing out there scared. Oh, we heard shots fired, so we ducked. Incompetent and not prepared for combat. All police officers are not heroes. Save the cat. Save the cat. Because a lot of these were punks. Punks. I want to show y'all this video of these families trying to get in to the school and having to get buck with the police officers about it. Literally telling the police officers, listen, stop fighting with me. Stop arguing with me. Go in there and do something and get our kids. And it's a shame that's common sense. Because again, a lot of police officers, which is why a lot of people want to dismantle the system, they are more obsessed with control. It's not about protecting and serving for them. It is about controlling people and having the upper hand and being able to tell people what to do. This is about control. Y'all wanted to stand out here and control these parents instead of manhandling and controlling that person who was killing almost 20 kids.
Look, they're just all fucking parked and outside, man. They need to go in there.
Get in! What the fuck is the fucking deal, dude? There's kids. Oh man, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna fucking go.
Look at that shit, bro. They're all in there. The cops ain't doing shit but standing outside.
All the kids are inside the fucking school and they're just standing. They're fucking parked. Oh my god. Where in the fuck? Oh, nobody's fucking not. Fuck that.
Look, they're over there with the guns.
Oh my god.
And all the parents are gonna go in. They.
Fuck that. Like, our kids are there, man. My son's right there. It's the, it's the take cover. Don't push me.
Go.
Man, y'all can't be like that, man. Y'all can't be like that when there's people.
Yes, I do. Get across the street. Because I'm having to deal with you. Get across the street. Get across the street. Okay, we're gonna back up, or you're gonna walk into that gate and get him. You gotta get fighting with us. Don't get fighting with them. Don't get fighting with them. I have the rifles here.
You know that there are kids, right? They're little kids. They don't know how to defend themselves. 6-year-old kids in there. They don't know how to defend themselves from a shooter.
We're parents. Take them the fuck out. I understand that, but fucking take them out and stuff. So much manpower and we still not.
Have you texted the teacher?
One person, take them out.
You don't have their number?
No.
For real, like I'm in shit. Do the parents gotta go in there? I'm ready. I have to.
You heard that, Mom? She said, because I'm ready if I have to. You know, it was crazy the amount of threats that were being hurled. They had tasers out and ready to get these parents to fall in line instead of them falling in line and doing what needed to be done in their line of duty. Y'all took an oath. These parents, their oath is to protect their kids. That's the main bottom line when you become a parent. Nothing else matters outside of protecting your kids. That's your main priority. But your priority as a police officer is to neutralize any and all threats. Y'all have all these guns. Let me address a couple of comments because they make a lot of sense. This person, thank you, Eddie Collect, says, it says more energy and aggression was used towards the parents than used towards the shooter. Over 100 trained individuals versus one not trained 18-year-old. That makes a lot of sense. The FameCom network says, how do police have all this military high-grade weapons themselves, but when it's time to use it adequately, they fold? But do no-knock warrants, traffic stops, they're quick to use artillery. Another really good point. It's sickening how they were unable to breach or knock down the door as this sick freak decided to target these children because the door was locked. But when it came to Breonna Taylor, right, they were able to get that door knocked down. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? When law enforcement definitely knew how to get into Breonna Taylor's apartment with no keys or issues. There's so much here that is not making sense. So much extra aggression for just, Black people in general. Take a look at this picture. It speaks 1,000 words. I saw it earlier today. 1,000 words. Can you see that? If you know, you know. This is pretty easy to kind of understand the differences and the nuances and how we are treated different than others. And how police have a lot of manpower when it comes to us and basic traffic stops. We talk about Alton Sterling and Philando Castile and Sandra Bland and all these other people and all this excessive force. But when it comes time and y'all really need this fucking force, y'all punk the fuck out. It's no different than a bully. You don't want to fight nobody your own size and go up against the shit that you should be combating against, but you would rather pick on people that ain't doing shit to you, which is Blacks just driving, or in the case of Breonna Taylor, just sleeping in her fucking bed at night. But okay, let's move on to the next thing. I want to get into another line of facts that might anger you as well. That definitely might anger you as well. Okay. Let's get into the, and thank y'all for hitting thumbs up on this video. Y'all know these real videos, YouTube ain't recommending them to nobody because you're saying too much that makes too much goddamn sense. Okay. So let's get into this line of question. If we review the reported performance of the Uvalde police and the Border Patrol response team on Tuesday, they waited 35 to 60 minutes before entering the school while kids literally bled out, wasting that very first hour of someone being wounded critically, and that is when you are most likely able to save a life. They threatened to tase and arrest parents, begging them to go in and attempting to rescue their children, their own goddamn selves, since the police weren't saying anything. When they did enter the school, they went to rescue their own kids first rather than dealing with the shooter. Proved incapable of opening a locked door to the room where the shooter was, so they had a school employee do it for them with a key. They didn't even ask the teacher, what key is it? I'll do it myself. They literally endangered another civilian in order to get into the classroom. Something has to be said about the training of these lackluster ass officials here. This is some bottom of the barrel ass cowardice behavior. Armed school resource officer failed to prevent the shooter from entering the school, but come to find out, the armed school resource officer was non-existent. They lied about it. Why so many lies? Why'd you lie about having an armed school resource officer? And why did you lie about pinning him to the ground and having him in custody? It's because y'all knew y'all stood around and did nothing. I really hope they sue y'all. Uvalde SWAT team had done a walkthrough of the school in February to prepare for just this situation. Outside observers are saying that Uvalde police ignored every lesson learned since Columbine. When the police did enter the classroom, they failed to neutralize the shooter first, and as a result, another child died due to their incompetence. They initially also lied about the timeline. As I stated earlier, statistically, police is 40% of Uvalde's budget. So almost half of Uvalde's money is going to line in the pockets of police, and all they do is stand there and watch your kids die. Can somebody make that make sense? Because I can't. I can't make any sense of it. Let's read this article together here, or this excerpt of an article, rather. The boy and 4 others hid under a table that had a tablecloth over it, which may have shielded them from the shielders' view and saved their lives. The boy shared heartbreaking details about what happened in that room. When the cops came, the cops said, "Yell if you need help." And one of the persons in my class said, "Help." The guy overheard and he came in and shot her. The cop barged into that classroom. The guy shot at the cop and the cop started shooting. He said that once the shooting stopped, he came out from under the table. So that's that tidbit of information, but we have a lot more information to get into. And when I show you these messages that he sent, he literally told her, first of all, he posted on Facebook that he was about to go shoot up an elementary school. How does that go unchecked? Y'all got technology and face recognition, and I'm sitting here talking about a very specific product, and I pick up my phone and here go all these ads about this specific product because y'all got all this high-tech technology. But somebody can literally post on Facebook, "I'm about to go shoot up an elementary school," and y'all didn't have no technology to sense that that was a dangerous sentence and y'all might need to track that IP address and get on it immediately. Really? A lot of this technology is it's not about protection. It is about control. And that is really sickening and scary. In a day and age where privacy is about to be obsolete, there's not a single text message in your phone. There's not a single message that you're sending on social media that the government or the FBI or whoever can't get into and read. But when you post something on a public forum like Facebook and say, "I'm about to go shoot," nothing happens. And he sent that as an individual message to someone. But I'm going to show you the screenshots in a second. But let's get through these facts here. Thank y'all so much for coming in and hitting thumbs up on this video. This is some really just nauseating stuff. But somebody's got to shine a light on these lies, because these are cover-ups here. You lied about the initial timeline. You lied about having him in custody. You lied about having an armed guard. There's 18 minutes of radio footage missing, right? Not footage, right? Recordings missing. Y'all are trying to cover up y'all negligence. That's what's going on here. And I'm going to talk about it. And you're lucky I ain't still got my channel with over 100,000 subscribers, because something needs to be done. So let's continue. Okay. Because the Supreme Court decision in the Castle Rock versus Gonzalez versus Gonzalez, which is a 2005 decision delivered by Scalia. No matter how incompetent, how cowardly, or how negligent police are, they cannot be held accountable. Well, I hope something can be overturned and changed in that case. I really do. Initial reports by police said that they pursued and pinned down the shooter in the classroom. It was false. In reality, the shooter had plenty of time and locked himself in the classroom. So he locked himself in the classroom and y'all lied and said y'all had pinned him down. Okay. Make that make sense. Threatening to tase. Folks, there was just so much. Panicked parents who were begging police officers to save their children were put in handcuffs and informed that they were being placed under arrest. Yes, this is some information that I received earlier. Additional information, police reversed themselves and now say that the school officer wasn't there to try to stop the shooter. 18 minutes of police radio is missing. So what is there that y'all are hiding? 18 minutes of audio gone. The shooter spent 12 minutes outside of the school before entering. Police just kept looking worse and worse. Oh, wow. Yeah. There's a lot going on. Someone needs the answers. Someone has to pay. Period, point blank. Period, point blank. Okay, let's get into some of these text messages, which were really sickening. Really sickening. He only lived a mile away from the school. I want to show you this text message. I showed you his other social media. So if you haven't checked out the other videos that I've done, or at least part 2, make sure you check that out if you haven't already. Let's take a look at this message. Listen, you've had a trigger warning, okay?
Hey, thanks for letting me keep you connected and in the know with what's happening in the Black world. Don't forget to smash on that like button for support and for more Black news.
So here's what he sent to someone, okay? Let's get the screen bigger. And thank y'all for your support. Shout out to everybody in the live chat. I see there's a little over 100 of us here. So he's texting this person. He says, I'm going to tell you right now, hold on. I'm waiting for this bitch. Mind you, he's literally talking about his grandmother. Now, mind you, his grandmother, like I said, his birthday was last Monday. Not this past Monday, but last Monday. His grandmother even took him to Applebee's for a treat for his birthday. And this is how he talks about his grandmother. And I mean, it's clear he doesn't give a shit about his grandmother because he shot her in the head. Grandmother's 66 years old. He says, I'm going to do something to her right now. So he's literally spelling this out. I'm going to tell you, I'm waiting for this bitch. I'm going to do something to her right now. Oh my goodness. She's on the phone with AT&T about my phone. It's annoying. Now, remember I was telling you earlier in the beginning of this video, catch the replay if you're a little late getting here. His grandmother was, this is what his grandpa was able to, corroborate in the story. And I'm sure his grandpa didn't know about these messages yet, was that the dispute started because grandma was trying to get him a phone in his own name. So who knows if he was running up the phone bill, if the phone was in her or the husband's name, but she was just trying to get him a phone in his own name. He's 18. Why not? But he's annoyed by that. Let me tell you, when I was happy as hell to get my phone in my own name, when I was 18, I couldn't wait. My mother was mad. She was like, what's the rush? The rush is I want my shit in my own name. But nonetheless, he says, I just shot my grandmother in her head. This is some grim stuff. I'm going to go shoot up at elementary school right now. This was at, what is this, military time, 6:21. And then at 11:22 at night, she says, I just saw the news. Okay, so this is this. And like I said, this literally law enforcement states, so we don't have the screenshots, but law enforcement states that he posted on Facebook that he was about to go shoot up a school. So he's sending these messages out. This is a totally different person that he was texting here. Said that she had met him in a chat room not too, long before this all took place. And that's the only reason she knew him. But she surrendered these messages just like the other girl that I exposed in part 2. Go check that out if you haven't already. The thumbnail looks very similar to this. He basically kind of told her the same thing. I'm not sure if he actually mentioned in elementary school, but he was talking very grim. He's taking pictures of guns and just talking crazy and deranged. It's really weird. But he wrote this right before the attack. This is a 15-year-old girl in Germany. So this is who this is. Met her earlier in May and vowed to visit. he met her earlier in May and vowed to visit her in Europe, telling her he loved her. Messages show he was arguing with his grandmother about the phone bill. He messaged he shot her in the head. The messages are the same ones that the governor described. So this is a sick freak. And I'm not sure. See, I watch a lot of Netflix. And I'm not sure if any of y'all have seen the Nightcrawler, but he looks like him. He looks like that. And that guy from the Nightcrawler, oh, he was full of dark energy, killed well over 25 people. Just the evil satanic, belonged to a satanic cult, just an evil, dark person. And he seems to have the same sinister energy. Grandparents were saying he was quiet, he didn't talk a lot. And according to what his classmates were saying, he was just very dark. He told one of his ex-friends he wanted to kill him. He was like, I stopped being friends with him because he was just like kind of being weird and violent towards everybody. So this is a person, listen, there are no excuses for a sick freak like this, but it's clear that something wasn't clicking. And I don't have any sympathy for him. However, there has to be red flags to stuff like this. And family members trying to lie and paint him out to be an angel. Grandpa did a smidget of that. Just a smidge. But mom is really going out the window. Oh, he was a great kid. No, he wasn't. We don't want to hear it. And it'd be best if you shut the hell up and hid your face when it comes to trying to paint this monster out to be an angel. There has to be red flags when it comes to things like this. And if parents and families are going to be in denial about this behavior, then we're doomed. It's time to keep it real with yourself and keep it real with society. It could save a life. Stop acting like these red flags weren't here. Get these people help. Get them. You can file emergency petitions on people, on your family members, your close family members and relatives when something is not right and they are a danger to themselves or others. There are things you can do. But if you want to keep pretending everything is okay and sweeping it under the rug, 19 kids might end up dead. And that's the really sad part. That's the really frustrating part. So what are we going to do about this as a society? Yeah, his mom should be quiet and embarrassed, but she's not. Instead, she's trying to make excuses for her baby. And that is, it's beyond bothersome and it's disrespectful. I want to show you this picture and this report about this woman who was no longer with us. She's one of the teachers. And her husband found out about her death. And literally yesterday, he died of a heart attack because his heart is broken. You know, people can die of a broken heart, believe it or not. So it's extremely heartbreaking. And I think her name was Tia. Her husband, Joe Garcia, passed away of grief because he had a heart attack at the loss of his wife. This is sick. This is complete and absolute sick. Sick, sick, sick. So let's see what other information I have. I have a little bit more information, and then that's pretty much it. But like I said, the main discrepancies, okay, are, let me see, unacceptable. What are their salaries to sit and watch children die? Okay. The Border Patrol agents had trouble breaching the classroom door and had to get a staff member to open the room with a key. Frustrated onlookers urged police officers to charge into the elementary school where a gunman's rampage killed 19 children and 2 teachers, a witness said on Wednesday, as investigators worked. Can't read that word. The massacre lasted up to 40 minutes. That arrow is in the way of that word, so I don't know what it is. And ended when the 18-year-old shooter was killed by Border Patrol. Police were slow to move and unprepared. I'm tweeting these things this morning, and I'm just like, this is so unacceptable. These are people that get paid between $89,000, $186,000 a year, and they're cowards. Unless they can beat up on a black person for no fucking reason because they know that the justice system will be on their side with that. Make that make sense for me. You can't. Unless you're just going to say white supremacy. There is no sense to be made. The only notable change since Sandy Hook is that kids are now formally trained to hide, barricade doors, fight, or run for their lives. That's the solution here, to literally put the responsibility on them to figure it out and to wish them luck. That is pathetic. It's pathetic and it's sad. It's been 10 years since Sandy Hook and still nothing has been done. And again, I say, y'all are so worried about certain politicians and lawmakers. Y'all are worried about locking down our uteruses rather than locking in on a solution to protect the kids that are already born. Stop acting like you give a shit about 3 and 4 week old life. It's about protecting the babies. Is it? No, it's about control. It's about controlling women and making decisions and policing women's bodies rather than protecting the kids that are already here. So I guess once I drop my fetus from my bundle of joy, it's like, fuck it, there's no more protection there. We only care about the fetuses because it's about controlling you all and maybe charging you or fining you with something if you decide to go outside of the state to get some sort of abortion for whatever reason. It doesn't make any sense. All of this manpower, all of this control being leveraged and misplaced in all of the wrong ways. And that's the sad and pathetic part, is that there is enough manpower, whether it be the police outside with guns that did nothing, whether it's the police or the law officials or the politicians actually using all of their power to come down on people and things that they really have no business even fucking with. Y'all have the ability to make the change, but you choose not to. And then there has to be a large conversation to be had about why 18-year-olds have their hands on this heavy machinery. You wouldn't be able to kill all of these people with a simple handgun. Something needs to be done. Psychological evaluations, and not just ones you can pass in one day, baby, because all of that stuff can be faked. If you want to go get a service animal, you got to prove that you got some type of mood disorder, but you got people online, you can just go and lie and have them diagnose you, just write you up papers to say that there's a way to get around everything. And the correlation between those two things is if you do a simple singular day psychological evaluation before you are able to get your hands on heavy machinery like that or AR-15 type rifles, that's a problem. You can cheat that system. Hell, you got people who can fake being mentally stable when they're not. You got people who can beat lie detector tests. There should be some sort of evaluation over 90 days. You should be doing background checks. And I'm not saying if you just gotten into any old type of trouble, but I'm saying if you have a history of gun crimes and reckless firearm usage, then maybe they should think twice about handing you heavy machinery. No, I don't think anybody has a singular answer, and it's going to take compromise on whatever side, whether you're being radical, whether you're being conservative, or whatever the case is. But there needs to be a conversation to be had. It's going to be sticky. It's going to be tough. It's going to get heated, but it has to happen because we're talking about protecting the lives of kids. So what are we going to do? Because the pattern is undeniable. They're 18 back to back. Sandy Hook, he was 20. Buffalo, he was 18. Tuesday, he was 18. It ain't a whole bunch of senior citizens. Hell, Frank James up in New York ain't even had no automatic machinery. Baby, he had 2 goddamn firecrackers in the damn. It's only these 18-year-olds that ain't thinking straight with no experience. There's got to be something to be done here. And when you talk about these young 18, 20-year-olds, some of them don't even have any criminal history. So it's not as simple as do background checks. Because these 18-year-olds that are kind of thrilled and their families are in denial about how dark their mind or their depression or whatever the fuck it is that they're going through, that's not going to solve the problem there. So something else has to be implemented. And y'all have way more than enough people. Y'all created all of these other illnesses. Y'all refuse to let certain medicines and cures exist to keep y'all certain institutions going to profit. Y'all have more than enough people. Y'all have more than enough people to figure this shit out. Hold some votes. Have some great debates. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. What stands out to me again is that this shooting started at 11:30 a.m. and he wasn't killed until 1. Police were there on the scene within 4 minutes. And then some police got there as selfish as they were and only rescued their own kids. And you mean to tell me they can't be held accountable? There's so much wrong with this. From the ones that written into legislation that cannot be held accountable to the lies that were told, lying about the timeline, 18 minutes of radio recordings missing, lying about having them in custody. The math is not math. And 1 + 1 is clearly 89.5. Add an alien on the end. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. None. And this is just a really sad situation. What's the answer here? Because everybody doesn't have the capability to private school. Some people send their kids to school with good intentions because they realize their mind doesn't work a certain way. They're like, listen, they didn't even graduate. So they're sending their kids to school and doing the best they. Everybody doesn't have the ability to homeschool or even private school. But even in some of these private school districts, this stuff is happening. So what can you do? And you can't just lock your kid away and not let them outside because shit, you can just go to the market and it'll happen again. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do? The HR 350 bill was blocked by the Senate today, 47-47. See? And mind you, it was career day somewhere in, was it Texas? And they were literally showing off their guns. It's career day. They're up at the school and they're showing off their automatic rifles for career day because they thought it was cool. Can you not read the room? Can you not read the room? I hope that somebody starts singing like a canary, and I hope that there is room and the ability for these families to seek justice and sue the hell out of these incompetent ass. If they can't be held criminally liable, I hope that there are some pro bono attorneys or someone, some paralegals who are able to step up and help represent these families to help them sue this town, these law enforcement officials for everything they have. Everything they have. But nonetheless, this is the information that we have on Salvador Ramos, what his family had to say, what his mom had to say, what his grandfather had to say. Grandma is still in critical condition. And this is what it is. This is what it is. There's been press conference after press conference, and a lot of them are just shit shows, to be completely and absolutely honest with you. That's what they are. That's all the information I have for you all this evening, Stickies. It is 2:00 in the morning over here in Baltimore, Maryland. Shout out to all of you all in the live chat. Listen, hit thumbs up on the video on your way out. I appreciate it. It is free to support this channel. It is free to donate to the channel. Just donate a goddamn like. Hit the thumbs up button. It is my duty to bring you all some of the best breaking Black news and celebrity updates, and I am dedicated to just that. If you're looking for something that's a bit more light, that'll take your mind off of this tragedy. I did an entertainment show right before this, covering a whole bunch of different trending topics, and I'm sure it'll make you laugh. I'm sure you'll enjoy it, and y'all know I'm always mixing some Black history up in there too. So the Black News Bus is a really good series that I have here on the channel. It's a social media stroll. We talk about what's going on in the celebrity world. We talk about real Black news and what's happening with everyday folk like you and me. And I'm always mixing in some of the Black history. So check that out if you need some more uplifting content. If you need a bit of an escape from Uvalde. I had such a hard time trying to escape from any Uvalde information today because I was so sad. My heart was so heavy yesterday and the night before. But it was just inescapable today. And as much as I tried to escape it, I couldn't. But I'm glad that I couldn't escape the information in a sense, although mental health is very important, right? But this information was important to get out, and it's important to understand what these dark spots are that they are hiding. And so I'm glad I was able to see a lot of the filth that this law enforcement team in particular is trying to hide due to their incompetence and due to their cowardice. And so I'm glad that I was able to bring you all the information, and thank you all for trusting me to bring you all news and information about this situation. Okay. So listen, this was a really tragic situation. And I'm just wishing you and your mental health the best. Try not to think too heavy on it. And if you need to escape and find some fun and uplifting content, check out that last video. Throw on a 90s playlist or something. I throw myself in the 90s music when I'm trying to escape whatever the hell is going on in the world. There's a really good sticky note that I gave you all too in the last video. So I had a really good time. I'm not gonna lie. I had a really good time. You know, on Tuesday when I gave y'all the initial report and then I gave you the second report on Salvador Ramos and his social media that I found. And then I caught myself trying to come back and do a third live with the entertainment show. I couldn't. My heart was too heavy based on the first two shows. So I said, let me do it different today. I knew I wanted to give y'all updates. And I knew I still wanted to give y'all entertainment. And I didn't want to mix them all together. And I realized I was just too hurt. I had to end my entertainment live because I had done the two serious lives before. I said, you know what? Let me do it different today. Let me do the entertainment live first and cover all those trending topics. And then I'll give them the very necessary update on real world instances. I don't mind putting celebrities on the back burner for any amount of time to talk about shit that really fucking matters. Fuck all the salacious shit. Fuck all the juicy titles and making people that I already dislike look like crap. Forget all that typical blogging behavior. It's time that people use their voices to speak about real things that really matter. And I take pride in doing that. So thank you for trusting me as a Black content creator to bring y'all some of the best breaking news and celebrity updates. Okay. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much for checking the community tab. Don't forget to do something to relax today and make yourself feel great. Happy Friday. This week went by kind of fast, in my opinion. All the days just blur together because I'm always working hard. I work my job. I get off. I do this. I get tired. I pass out. I get up. I do it again. So I'm always tired. But thank you all for riding on this very, very late night bus ride. Appreciate you so goddamn much. Let me know your thoughts on all of the updates that I gave you. What do you think about what his classmates said about him? What do you think about what his family said about him? What do you think about law enforcement's response to this situation? Whether you're on the bus right now, meaning you are in the live chat, or whether you're chasing the bus, which means you're catching the replay. Any and all thoughts? Make sure y'all keep it sticky and real down below in the comment section. Listen, don't forget to subscribe and thumbs up or down. Either way, I appreciate it. But be sure to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any of this celebrity and very necessary Black news over here on my channel. Y'all throw up them pancake emojis, okay? Share this video to someone who needs this information. And y'all stay beautiful, Black, and blessed until the next video. Deuces. But that's it. If you want to catch more of my commentary on Black culture or vital and trending information, be sure to subscribe by hitting that little circle in the middle of the screen, or I'll catch you in one of these rectangles to the right in another video. I'll see you there.